During his birthday, I publicly thanked the other man for loving me right. He just stood up and, "Hello, Reddits, my name is Sarah, and I'm 35 years old, and I have just lost the best thing that I have. I know I did a terrible thing, and I didn't think it was going to ever come to this. But now I don't think there's ever going to be a remedy to this. For privacy's sake, every other name I'll be using except mine is fake. I'm too scared of how many people will come after me if they finish reading this, and not that I don't already have that. I just don't think I can deal with any more hatred than I already have to deal with. Sam, whom I've been married to for 15 years with 2 lovely kids, just stood up in his birthday party and did something really shocking. Something totally unexpected, and apparently has now caused this huge gap in my life that can never be healed. To be honest, I had meant it the opposite way, and I said it to spite him, to make him angry, and to make him react. And he had, just not in the way I wanted. Everything that I thought was under my control took a fast turn out of my control, and until now, I have no control of the hazard that is presently my life. I married Sam when I was barely an adult myself, but I was obviously old enough to know right from wrong, and since I grew up with no parents, marrying Sam had been the only decision I could make all by myself without the intervention from the numerous aunties and uncles I've had to grow up with. Sam was 35, the same age I am now when we met, and he fell in love with me and had asked me out. I liked Sam too. He was homely, the kind that any woman would be lucky to have, and for the whole years of being married to him, I never regretted choosing to marry him that early in life. We had our kids, the twins 2 years into our marriage, and it was all lovely, and I obviously chose to be a housewife, and Sam never had a problem with providing for us. He made as much time as he could for the kids, and still managed to perform effectively at work. He was everything I prayed for, and to be honest, I was satisfied being his wife for 14 whole years, and we had no issues at all. We were a plain, predictable, happy family, and I had no issue with doing the same things over and over again, until the beast that I never knew was lurking around came up. The beast that I never knew only needed a little awakening, lifted up its rear head, and eventually ended up ruining everything that my whole life had ever been before. When I met him, Luke. I decided to start working when the twins were obviously more than old enough to take care of themselves, and I wanted to do something rather than sitting at home and not doing anything else but waiting to fuss over them and Sam when they came back home. Sam had no issues with it, so I had applied to teach at a kindergarten, and I loved kids. Since we didn't have any, no matter how hard we tried after the twins, I decided working with kids would be the best idea. So I chose a small kindergarten close enough to walk home to and fro every day, and for a while it was really nice, a job I enjoyed. Until a guardian, Luke, had brought his niece, who called him Dad for some weird reasons, to the kindergarten where I taught. Her parents were apparently out of town for some work trip, and they left their daughter with him, and he was an hopeless uncle taking care of her. His niece was only with him for a month, though, and eventually her parents picked her up. But Luke kept showing up at the kindergarten with different excuses, and it was either he wanted to ask me a question about what to get her as a gift for her birthday, or an assistance of some sort with a kid's issue, and then it graduated into escorting me home. He never escorted me to my door, but about 3 doors away from mine, and I was not also comfortable with him escorting me home. I didn't want Sam or the kids to ask unnecessary questions I had no answer to. For some reason, I liked Luke's presence. He was like a breath of fresh air, with his crazy sense of humor, and there was this way he looked at me that made me blush each time he did. Like I wasn't a wife and mother of 2, but someone desirable, a woman. He made me feel like a woman, and suddenly it felt like I hadn't felt like that in years, like I was alive. I suddenly started to notice things that I hadn't before, like how Sam's front hairline was almost absent and how his wrinkles were getting even more by the years, and his baggy trousers that never felt right with his big tummy almost equaling mine when I carried the twins. I started the game of comparison between Luke and Sam, and each time Luke seemed to take the winning hand, and I found myself growing even more attracted to Luke. Within a month of meeting Luke, I had grown so attached to him, so when he eventually pulled me over one evening and held me longer than necessary and then kissed me, I didn't hesitate, I kissed him back. Honestly, at that moment, all I wanted was for him to take me, and I didn't remember that I had a husband or 2 kids. I just wanted Luke, which was why I took advantage of the fact that Sam took the kids out for Father's Camp Out, and I invited Luke over to the house. We slept together for the first time that evening, And after that, I couldn't stop. I thought I could never, and I was addicted to it, and I even started skipping work sometimes, only to get together with Luke and have mindless sex. Sam noticed the new change, but never suspected the reason behind it. He noticed my new haircut and my change in clothes into tighter and fitted ones, and he liked the new perfume I wore, and he even encouraged my new change. He was even prompted to change his loose trousers into more fitted ones, not tight jeans, but something less baggy, and he even got a new haircut too. I should have realized then that all I needed to do was to push my always ready to learn something new husband into spicing up my marriage rather than cheating. But instead of feeling cheery about his new looks, it pissed me off instead, and I wasn't seeing my husband anymore. All I saw was Luke, and it started to affect my relationship with the twins too. I was either too irritated by their presence because they distracted me from my texting with Luke, and he was my only source of joy, and even my kids felt like a burden when they interrupted me. So I became that woman that yelled at her kids whenever they did something wrong, or even right. Sam noticed the change and had asked, and for the first time since we got married, we had an argument in front of the kids. But I wasn't ready to apologize, even though I knew I was at fault, and that night, Sam slept on his uncomfortable couch in his study. I should have known to stop then, but I didn't, and I wanted to hurt him as much as possible. Luke was selfish and a narcissist who only cared about himself and no one else. Sometimes he called me over just so I could please him, and stupid me did whatever he wanted at the expense of my own home. I paid his rent when he complained about it, and I bought him groceries and even cooked for him whenever he wanted. He was just someone I wanted to hold on desperately to, and the fact that he wanted me and needed me like he claimed to. There was nothing else I minded, even though it was ruining my marriage. I should have really known, and I regret everything now so much. So many truths were there right in the open for me to see that I was making the biggest mistake of my life, but I chose not to. I never knew that Sam suspected me, and I didn't think that there was anyone who could have snitched on me. I was careful. Despite seeing Luke almost all the time, I was too scared to be seen with him because I knew it would cause trouble, but not as much as it had. 2 months with Luke was all it took. The whole affair lasted for 2 months before it exploded right in my face. Sam's birthday was coming up, and it was something I had always planned for every year. I woke him up with prayers and a mini cake and then organized a little get-together with family and friends just to celebrate. But this year I had forgotten because I was too focused on both keeping my relationship a secret from my family and everyone else, and also struggling with my job. I had gotten so many strikes already because of the many missed days, and I even got a salary slash, but I never told Sam because that may have made him curious, and I couldn't have that. The twins had reminded me indirectly when they were busy making a birthday postcard when I went into their room that night to pick their laundry. I was upset on Sam's birthday, and instead of being reasonable, I had done the nonsense I did at his party to spite him. It was his birthday, so I did the usual. Called everyone to invite them over for the party, and I bought the gift I knew would please Sam. A wristwatch, another new one like I'd always bought each year. Then I wrapped it and kept it away, and I bought groceries and everything else I needed to cook and make the dinner party beautiful. The morning of the party came sooner than expected, and I kissed Sam good morning and wished him a happy birthday and gave him his gift. But his expression that morning had been different. It wasn't the same excited look on his face when he saw his gift, even though he knew exactly what I had bought him. But this time, he didn't even bother smiling, and he said nothing. Just slipped out of bed, dropped my gift beside the bed, and went into the bathroom preparing for the day's work. I thought maybe something had come up at work, and he was just sad because of work pressure or something. But when the kids hugged him and presented their postcards, which was also the same every year, there was that expected smile and kisses and teasing that came after. I was really upset because of how he had totally ignored me, but not his kids, and I tried to talk to him, but he didn't even bother paying any attention to me, and left with the kids to obviously drop them off at school. Because I had no one to talk to, I called Luke and told him everything that transpired. I couldn't exactly tell my friends because they envied my relationship with Sam, and I didn't want to give them the impression that anything was wrong. Luke was dismissive as usual, just told me to leave him alone, and he had ended the call, grudging from being woken up from his sleep. But I couldn't forget. All day, as I planned the dinner for Sam when he came back, I couldn't get over the fact that Sam had ignored me, and I was upset and kept blaming Sam for causing me to remain angry throughout the day. I even texted him about the time he needed to be home, but Sam never replied, even though I knew he had read the texts, and it made me even angrier. I knew he was ignoring me on purpose, and it made me even more mad to think that he was ignoring me despite everything. Well, friends started to arrive, and some of them helped with the cooking, while some helped with table arrangements outside in our huge garden. Everything started really wrongly that day, and if I had been careful enough, I would have known, but I was seriously too caught up in my own acts to mind anything else but my selfish interests. From the way Sam had responded to my birthday wishes and also went ahead to ignore me and then coming late to his own birthday party with the clothes he wore while leaving home that morning, I was more than pissed. I just literally saw red seeing him ignoring me after coming home and refusing to change into the black suit I left on the bed for him, even after I had sent one of our kids to him to inform him about it. So I decided in the heat of that moment to have my revenge by saying the horrible things I said at the party. It was time for me to have a toast, and the usual me had a speech planned and written down to say how wonderful my husband is and how beautiful it had been spending life with him. But I ditched my speech and had instead raised a glass in mockery to Sam, and I had smiled before I said the things I now regret so much. I had said in front of everyone that I wanted to thank the other man for making me really happy, more happy than Sam could have ever done in all our years of marriage. And ignoring their gasps and shocked expression when I said that, I raised a glass again and drank the whole content, feeling quite satisfied that I managed to shock everybody, and I was sure I shocked Sam too. My intention was to laugh later after watching Sam's expression and tell them it was only a joke, and I would then read out the original speech I intended for the party. But Sam stood up and raised a glass, smiling easily. He wasn't looking at all like the man I had just thrown a jab at. Instead, he was smiling like he just pieced together a puzzle or won the lottery. He had first sent everyone something because it was only when everyone's phones beeped on the table or inside their pockets or wherever they had kept it that I realized that he was the one who sent it. And while everyone checked their phones and started to gasp, one of my aunts screamed and in the process threw her phone away. She's a nun. I didn't know what it was all about, but everyone kept giving me the stink eye and murmuring. Sam watched me quietly, especially when I kept looking around in confusion. Then, as if to put me out of misery, or perhaps it was to push me into my misery, he had sent me what everyone was watching and was busy looking at me with disgust written all over their faces. It was only then I realized just how stupidly I had ruined my life. There were pictures, lots of them, and everything pinpointed to the same thing, that Luke and I weren't ordinary friends. There was one when he grabbed my bottom in public and I was laughing. At that time, I thought he was being too brave doing that, and we had ended up in his apartment against the wall, too horny to even go into the bedroom. There was also a recording. The one for that morning when I had called Evans to vent and discuss with him how much I detest my marriage. I was doomed. I kept staring at the pictures over and over again, without a word coming out of my mouth. Not because I didn't want to speak, but because words were jumbled up in my mind, and I couldn't comprehend anything. My throat felt heavy, hot, and sticky at that moment, and I didn't know what to do. Crying was no option. I didn't know how to beg Sam or what to say to all our friends who were clearly disappointed in me. And when I finally looked at Sam, who had been staring at me to gauge my reaction, he smirked and then mimicked me by raising a glass in mockery before drinking all his champagne in one go. I must have fainted from the shock because when I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital bed with no one there beside me, except an exceptionally rude nurse who made it her business to tell me exactly what she thought of me as a person. Our town wasn't exactly big, and the bad news must have spread so fast already, and it was only midnight. I could barely hear her, though. I just watched her lips move. My mind was completely far and less concerned about what she thought of me. When I eventually went home after being released by the doctor, the door was locked, and Sam's car wasn't outside the house. The decorations were still there, food left untouched, and everywhere was looking like a typhoon had hit. I tried to open the door, but all my efforts were in vain. It wouldn't even bulge. Sam had changed the locks, and he did it to keep me out of the house. I had to eventually go to a motel to spend the night, hoping that by the morning I'd be able to talk to Sam. I cried my heart out that night in that room. I couldn't believe how everything had turned out like that, and I couldn't even think of anything that could have made Sam suspicious enough to try and find out whether or not I was cheating on him. I racked my brain and I came up with nothing. I thought I was really careful and that no one would catch up with me. The only pointer I could think of had been the stupid thing I said at the party. But Sam had obviously known before that if the evidence he gathered and sent everyone was to go by. He had known that morning of his birthday, and that was why he had behaved rather oddly to me when I wished him. That's why he ignored me and pretended like I didn't exist. Because to him, I don't exist. Not anymore. I don't think I've cried as much as I have in the past few days. Everyone seems to know the story. I was officially fired via email when a parent had obviously heard the gossip and reported me unfit to impact their kids. And then there was my social life going from perfectly fine to zero. My friends were no longer my friends. They all were blocking me, and those who saw me walked away like they never knew me before. My aunties that had showed up for the party had told the whole family what happened, and of course they all tagged me the disgraceful child. They now want nothing to do with me. Everyone else's opinion wouldn't have mattered if I had Sam, but I had no one to support me or even comfort me while I cried. I must have left 101 messages on Sam's phone by now, but each one unopened and unanswered. I tried calling too, but the same thing. It's been 2 weeks without the usual monotony that I'm used to, and I'm losing my mind. I couldn't walk around the tiny room barefoot because it was too small and gave me sores. I cannot cook for a family of 4 anymore. I cook and then I lose my appetite because there's no one to watch eating and dropping their vegetables on a different plate. My kids weren't with me trying to trick me into believing they were each other when they obviously couldn't fool me. Bottom line is, I'm losing my mind as the days drag on. I cannot bear this loss. It's too big and too much to bear, and I fear that I may eventually go crazy storing all these feelings on my inside. Funny how immediately Luke found out about the gossip. He ran away and had never called or said anything to me since. The one person that I sacrificed my marriage, family, and happiness for was nowhere to be found. He literally dumped me without ever doing that. It showed just how little I meant to him from the beginning, and I would have seen that if all I was concerned about was my family and not some twisted sense of happiness I thought I got from being with Luke. I don't know how I'm ever going to survive this. It's so choking being me right now, and I wish I had some sort of time machine to go back and undo the wrongs I did. Or is there? Update. Hello, Reddits. It's been 3 additional weeks, and I cannot say it's exactly been a walk in the park. I've been through a lot of things that are rather unexplainable. I remember coming to this app with the intention of getting things off my chest, this burden that seems so heavy. I tried getting it off by sharing my life with so many people here, but all I have gotten from coming here to share my honest feelings has been really devastating. I know that I will never get an opportunity with Sam again, and that Sam would file for a divorce as soon as he could, and that had been a week ago. I knew that I had behaved wantonly and deserved everything that's happening to me right now. I know all that, and I know you guys think I had behaved like a sex worker, easily falling for a guy totally younger than I am, and then proceeding to have an affair with him. I know I should have had more sense in dealing with everything, and I know I should never say any of the things I said at his birthday party. I know, and I regret everything a lot. The question I ended my first post here with had been a rhetorical question, and I know very well that there's nothing I ever do to amend what I did. I just wanted to express myself, and I could have a lot without your judgments. I know I deserve every mean word you've thrown at me, but it really doesn't make it hurt any less. You have managed to not only put me down in different words, but also made me look like a fool, thinking I could find some solace here. Someone who could relate and perhaps advise me on how to navigate this part, which is absolutely dark and with no visible pathways. I know it isn't right for someone like me with a sin of this magnitude to have a dream, but I do. In those dreams, it starts out with me being happy with Sam and the kids, and it's all beautiful until the dream switches up, and I see Luke in the background laughing and smiling evilly because he has managed to deceive me and abandon me when the time feels right. It's bad enough that I'm surrounded every day by the reminder that I lost my family because I was stupid, but it follows me right into the dream. My brain is like a broken recorder replaying everything that had happened. I remember so vividly the first day I allowed Luke to kiss me, and I kissed him back. And back then, it felt like I was doing everything right, not knowing it was the opposite. I didn't know that my 2 months of pleasure would end up ruining a lifetime's planned goals. I remember so well how many dreams and aspirations that I had for my family growing up. My kids are so bright with their aims and beliefs already set up like their fathers had been growing up too. I remember planning a couple's trips every month after the kids left home just to rediscover ourselves and also to spend more time together. I should have thought of all that instead of losing myself in temporary pleasure and forgetting all about the plans and promises we've made. I was selfish and greedy, chasing after what was not meant to be found. Now my life is clearly a mess that I created, molded until it totally went out of control. The more time passes, the more stuck I am in the past, and I cannot get over that look on Sam's face at the party. That "I know what you're doing" kind of look that he had given me before he went ahead to expose me to everyone. That look is stuck in my brain, that look that I never saw before that day on Sam's face for the whole 15 years we were together. And I did that. I did that to us. I ruined my marriage and my family. I wonder how my kids now feel about their mother, their cheating, lying mother, who lied to them and cannot even keep the promise she made years ago to be an ever-present mother. You guys don't know how awful this feeling is. The feeling of missing out on every day of your kid's life just because you were too stupid to think about the future. How it feels when they call them for awards and it's only their dad showing up instead of both of us. How it would feel like watching my girls grow from afar. How bad it would be watching them thank their father in their acknowledgement instead of us both. They would hate me because I won't be there celebrating or cheering them on, because their father keeps insisting on the divorce and also the custody lawsuits. There is already a lot of incriminating evidence without even going to court at all to testify, and I would lose the case before I could ever get into the witness box. Knowing that I don't even deserve to be their mother because of the outrageous things I've done, my heart just feels like it would burst from the pain that is now part of my every waking moment. I know it probably won't change anything, but ever since that day, I keep sending Sam text messages to apologize even though he reads none of them. I feel like I owe it to him to repent for the rest of my life, especially after how I had destabilized not only the kids' lives but also our marriage. I'm so ashamed to even show my face around the kids because of how awful I had behaved. Not that Sam would even let me see them. He was totally clear on the fact that he never wanted to see me around them again, or even around him. I've ended up chasing away everyone and anyone who could help me, and now I'm stuck between painful memories and loads of regret. It's almost always painful thinking about what my future would be like from now on, thinking about how hard I will continue struggling for, how much it will continue hurting, how long I will continue regretting the family I was supposed to cherish. I think every day about the safe space Sam had managed to build for us without much contribution from me. He gave us a home and never stopped providing for us, the sort of man every woman prayed for. But I was just too selfish and greedy, too caught up in my own world to see exactly what it was that I had until I lost it. Now I miss those tiny special moments that I had always thought were normal, those everyday routines. When I would wake up and say a prayer while Sam joined me, and then he woke the kids and helped them prepare for school while I made them breakfast, and then we sat and ate as a family. Those times when they came back in the evening, each of them with different gists of how their day went, and Sam had never always forgotten to ask me how my day went too, ruling out the fact that I had the same routine each day. Those tiny little shoulder massages, and then lovemaking in the evening when the kids were asleep. Those were the memories I should have held on to and appreciated, but instead I had done the opposite. I managed to not only stop it, but also put a scar on it, so that whenever they remembered those memories, all they thought of was everything I had done wrong, all the wicked things that I did to ruin our happiness. The kids are mature enough to know that something's wrong. I wonder every day what Sam told them. Knowing Sam, who cannot even tell a proper lie, I wonder if he already told them the truth, that their mother had decided to cheat on their father with someone younger, and she had even had the audacity to thank the other man at his own birthday party. I wonder what the kids think of me now. It's just terrible trying to process everything, trying to process my own feelings, which is all over the place, and also trying to think of what Sam and the kids thought of me. I wish I had a second chance to rewrite my mistakes. I wish I could go back into the past and change just one thing. And that one thing would have been ever coming across that horrible mistake of a person, Luke. But there's no getting past this, right? I will forever remain stuck in this timeless machine of happy memories that I ruined in my deluded pursuit of happiness that was always present in my life since I married Sam. I regret it so much, so much. Update. Hello, Reddits. It's me again. I know most of you don't want to hear from me again. You all think of me as an evil person with no redemption whatsoever, and I agree. There's no saving someone like me because I was the one who ruined my life. But then again, there's really no one else to listen to me. All these guilt and emotional burden that I carry around just weighs me down so much. I go crazy each day. I know that you guys don't care about how I feel, but I thought writing it down will ease the guilt and regrets. But it never has. And if anything, it has only added to it because all your comments on my post ever reminds me of is that it's all my fault, which is why this is going to be my last post here. It's been a few months since Sam found out about my infidelity and had refused to have anything to do with me again. Things haven't changed much. Sam isn't still leaning towards forgiveness, and he moved away from our home, and no one will tell me where he moved to with our kids. So I'm stuck here thinking about how they are and what they look like already. Did Sam grow more white hair or lose more hair? Have the girls now started their menstrual cycle, a part into womanhood, all we spoke about at the beginning of the year and they had been excited about? Did they already start a new school and make new friends? Has Sam gotten a new job that paid better than the last one? Do they hate me even more? All of these questions keep roaming my head each day, and it's almost unbearable thinking about the answer to those questions. Because I know that every answer to those questions roaming my mind will hurt even more, as they will pinpoint to the fact that they've moved on. Forgotten about me. They all already know what a useless wife and mother I made myself to be, and they all wanted nothing with me. I imagine how big my girls will get. Will they really become doctors? Or maybe they'll switch professions as they grow older. Who would they look like when they're much older? I pray they don't look like me, because I pray that they never do. Because the thought that they will hate themselves if they look anything like me would kill me. Sticking to roaming the internet with a fake account just to see whether someone had posted new information about them. Anything that I could use to get even a tiny bit of information about them, or even see their pictures, how they look like now, whether they're happily enjoying their lives without me in it. But I've gotten none. No one had posted anything about them in months, and even Sam's account had no new posts. It's so frustrating living like this, not knowing anything and relying purely on your mind, which keeps playing dirty tricks on you. It imagines a new female role model in their lives and someone who would not have done any of the disgusting things I did to hurt my family. Someone who would love and cherish those little moments that make up everything for us as a family. Someone who would be there for my kids, advise them, teach them on what to do and not to do. Someone who would take care of Sam and never think of his looks or regard him as too old. Someone who will take up my role as their mother and as Sam's wife. Someone who is not me. I cry every day. I know that's not a piece of information you're interested in, but I cry every day, wishing I had a second chance, wishing that I didn't let that selfishness take over so much of my life and family. I wish I had not been so stupid as to think that once Sam found out, he would forgive me as he had always done if I did something offensive to him when I shed a little tear. But I watched Sam that day at the party, and I realized that my affair had not only changed me, it changed him too, into that cold, unforgiving man that stared at me as he destroyed my life without even bothering about how I would feel. I know. I did that first, not bothering about his feelings and cheating on him, but it doesn't make it hurt any less than it does right now. I know that the redemption that I seek is very far from me and may never come. And I know that this is what the rest of my life looks like. Sad, empty, broken, and a failure. I hope you guys don't become me because I can tell you for free that this side of hell isn't worth any little pleasure you derive from it. Goodbye, guys.